All right, so we're here today with filmmaker Carlo Marasigan, good personal friend of mine. We lived together for a while. He films with Snowboy Productions, and he's got a short film in the True to You contest from True Outerwear, and that's what we're actually here to kind of promote today. So if you get a chance, check out the link down in the description. Go vote for these guys. I think it's probably the best one in the whole series. Although I might be biased. Actually, let's just be real. I'm very, very biased. I'm here to promote my friends. Build up your friends. It's your community, right? Anyways, Carlo, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Just got out of work and just here to chat it up with you, homie.
So let's talk about you filming with Snowboy Productions and what that's like, and working with SoySauceNation and whatnot. What can you tell people about being in that situation and how you got there?
It was just a snowball effect getting with soy sauce and Snowboy. I hit up a friend to link me into soy sauce. I shot over there just for fun, and then next thing you know, Snowboy started liking my stuff. I started following them, and it just kept, you know, getting bigger. And then they hit me up. Oh, sorry, no, they posted something about Hollow Hollow, and immediately, like, I would say that post was up for like 20 seconds. I was the first one to post it. I'm pretty sure I was the first one to repost in my stories, and then they emailed me. It's like, hey, we'd like to invite you out for the Mount Hood event. And I was like, that's awesome. And here we are. I shot that one last year. After that was Fill the Fridge out here in Big Snow. And then I just finished shooting not just finished, I'm sorry. Then I shot the other Hollow Hollow this past August. Well, I helped shoot. I helped shoot the Hollow. Yes.
But in the process of going to Hollow Hollow, you brought
Yeah.
our good friend Marcus with you, who used to do Ask a
Yes.
Black Snowboarder on this channel. And the best part about that was I kept looking at photos, and there I was like, there's Marcus. There's Marcus. He had the biggest grin on his face. Like, he was just popping up. And I was like, that's 100% Carlo got him there. I know.
I was trying to just plug him in there. It's like, even like the videos that we made, I'm like, yo, Marcus needs some. Marcus deserves the flowers that he deserves some flowers, man. Let me throw him in here and there.
What can you say about like the whole community aspect of Hollow Hollow and SoySauceNation and all that stuff, and how it works together and how it just brings everyone together? Like, for you, I mean, our situation on like how we met and how we ended up living together is really unique in that. And it's like, because realistically, we should be worlds apart, and yet you're like a brother to me, and everyone.
100%.
Like, I'd take a bullet for you, no questions asked.
Likewise.
Yeah, exactly. Whether you're cramping up on a run and I got to punch you in the thigh to release a cramped muscle, or I got to dig you out of a tree well, I'm there for you 100%. So why don't you tell people about the community aspect of that for anyone that might not know it, that watches this channel?
I mean, I feel like it's too different, but this SoySauceNation and Snowboy are almost there's differences and similarities. With soy sauce, it's very like, for me, the orientation going like emphasizing, Asian American and being Asian American, and trying to like explore this diaspora of like, all these different people from, whether it's me here in New York or a couple of people from like the PNW. We're all have these similarities of like growing up Asian, whether you were very unapologetic about it or you were shy and timid about it. What soy sauce did was we brought us all together, and like it helped a lot of people, just express who they are and not be afraid to like, hide themselves. Because what you hear a lot with some of the people that I've interviewed over the years was that, this thing about snowboarding is that once you put on that goggles and mask, you're just like everybody else. And like, why do you want to be like everybody else? Like, that's not the purpose. And soy sauce kind of just like negates that. And how do I explain this?
It's a sub community of the snowboard community. That's the way I look at it. Like, you guys are bringing, so like whatever I tell anyone that's getting into snowboarding that's going to do it, if you're going to be part of the community, bring yourself unapologetically to it, be you, but don't try to change snowboarding for the sake of changing it.
Right.
Bring what you know so that snowboarding changes around you. And
Yes,
it's like,
exactly that.
Like that's the way I look at it with your guys' community. Like every time I see you doing something, obviously I'm gonna repost it. If you cut it, you did anything with it,
Yeah.
I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna repost it. You're my boy, you know. And that's the thing that I try to tell people with it. And I think that's what you're trying to say here. I don't want to
Yes.
put words in your mouth.
No, exactly that, because it's you're going into another culture with your culture, but you're not trying to change the snowboard culture. You're not trying to change. The only thing you're trying to change about the snowboard culture is the acceptance of people like me. It's like we're just trying to change that part. But other than that, like, you know, understand the etiquette of snowboarding. Don't be a dick on the mountain. Don't be, you know, obnoxious. Just you can be who you are, but you know, still be like part of the snowboard community. Does that make sense?
No, that makes total
Yeah.
sense. Like that's what we all want. Like
Right.
I see that, you know, my situation growing up in snowboarding, obviously, like I grew up, I think my town population was 99% white. And like
Yeah.
we had a few black people in there. And you know, then like I grew up snowboarding with Marcus, and he's my brother, like 100
Yeah.
through 100%. He's my little brother. So like my situation and his situation is like a little different growing up in an area in Western New York that, you know, we've got a big Indian reservations, we got Native American population, we had a big Muslim population too. Like I worked with a lot of people with the last name of Ramadan. I snowboarded with a lot of them and hung out with them, you know, and then I had Marcus and stuff. And so we had like this big unique meeting. And I always thought, like, just from that small little section of snowboarding that I had, I was like, oh, so like everything's kind of just like this. And then I get out west and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, and everyone's like, and then when Marcus moved out to the Pacific Northwest with me, and we were just sort of like, so this is weird, you know, and we're like, you know, and people were like, what is he, like almond stamps or something? And I was like, no, it's Marcus. Like that's what he does, you know? And then like when I met you and you were like, hey, I want to move to Breckenridge, I was like, you should live with me.
Well, that's the funny thing. It's like the total opposite of you. Like you were saying, it's like, for me, I was surrounded by, you know, Black, Latino, Caribbean, Asian folks. So it's like, it was easy for me to like feel comfortable until I moved and lived in with you. I was like, the only person I felt comfortable with was Brian and you, because we knew each other from that summer camp, that year in summer camp at Woodward. And then Brian being Brian. And then, but everything else was kind of like, we were trying to, for me, it was a defense mechanism using like, you know, humor. Like, remember that one time where we were going up the lift and we saw the guy in the Filipino basketball jersey. It's like, yo, I gotta talk to him. I was like, yo, I gotta see him. Like, yo, he just says Filipinas. I was like, yo, it's us. And then we see him
off the chosen one.
We see him off jump one, and he's in the cart already, the sled. And then I don't know if it was you, it may have been you or Brian. You did the Highlander quote, and he was like, he looked at me, he's like, there can only be one.
Oh, that was totally Brian. He looked at you and he's like, there can be only one. And it was like, and we were like, dude, there's been like this weird disconnect in the snowboard world for a few years, and it's changing right now. And those community events just seem to be driving it more and more. And you see more people coming out of the woodwork, and you see more of that. And I really love the direction that that's going in, because it's bringing new people with new eyes on snowboarding, and they've got a new perspective on how they see stuff. And that's really cool. And it's bringing a lot of really cool people. It's also bringing some kooks. Let's be real. There's some fun.
It happens.
It happens. It just, you know, it always happens. But in the meantime, it's like your history with working or going to film school, working with me in the past, and then being able to go and film has allowed you to kind of do some of the things that you always said you wanted to do. And part of that is like, you said this great quote. You're like, I feel like a filmmaker with what you did with Sinigang for the Trew To You contest right now.
Yeah.
Would you agree that like this is a start on a different like trajectory with your snowboarding and in your community and what you're doing with your life and stuff?
I think so. I mean, like, you know, we joke around, like after we finished that film and after we submitted it, I joked around. I was like, oh, I can finally call myself a filmmaker. You know what I mean? I was like, you know, a lot of people will be like, no, you've always been a filmmaker. I was like, I haven't made a film. Like, I haven't made a film. Even though this film is only 5 minutes, it's still a film. So I'll take that.
See, you say you haven't made a film, but when we were filming Parks and Recs and you were editing them, those were miniature films.
You're right.
People might say they're snowboard edits, but at the time when we were doing it, because like you couldn't put them on YouTube, we had to put them on Vimeo, we had to do this, we had to post it and stuff. Like you had to like build the hype, you had to build the thing, and it's like, you know, we were putting those out every other week or every week and stuff, and it was you, it was Seamus Lehman that were helping us. You know, we had Ben West, like we had a crew of different people, so each one looked different, and each person had a different eye on how they did everything and stuff. So to me, those were always like miniature films. To quote Casey Neistat, he's like, they don't have to be big to be a film, you know? And it was like,
I didn't think about it that way.
Well, and I don't think most people do. They look at it as like a snowboard edit, but it's really you're putting content, you're putting picture to moving pictures in there. You're making a film in some way. You're telling a story, whether it's to get someone stoked or whatnot. So like, you know, each one of you guys that worked on Parks and Rec, when we would do stuff, like everyone had a different eye. Everyone had a different story to tell. Like the thematically was the same. Like the way I look at it was, this would be like if we were doing like Friday the 13th movie. Every director did it differently. But the story, the themes were the same, right? So it's a good analogy in that. And so when we would do that, you guys would do that. And so like people would see different things from you, because like your perspective on how, in your visual eye was not like that of a snowboarder. And I remember us having these conversations, and you're like,
a lot of conversations over
there? Well, like you'd be like, why are you standing there? And you're like, I wouldn't do that. And then I'm like, you'll see the clip, and then you'd see the clip, and you're like, now I understand. But at the same time, I'd see you do something. I was like, why are you doing that? And you're like, trust me. And then I'd be like, oh, okay, you went to film school. I'm a fucking idiot over here. I don't know. Tell me what settings and where to go stand. And that's what I would do, you know? Like, go like this. Tell me when to film. And we're good to go. And so it was really awesome for me to see you say, hey, I'm a filmmaker now. And I was like, hey, you know, if this is what it takes for him to feel like a filmmaker, fuck yeah, I'm all here for it. You're my homie. I'm proud of you on that. But in the same sense, like this is a contest, so we kind of have to plug this. So we have a link down the description. These guys currently went from first place. Went from first.
We got bumped to fourth.
Place. We got to get them back up into first. So this is a call to action for everyone watching this, that you need to go down to the description of this video and go vote for Sinigang, you know, and
help us out. We want some money.
This is true. They're going to win some money so he can make another film.
Yep. To make more.
That's really what it is. It's funding another project. So that's
fund the other project, to fund the other project, to fund another project.
And that's kind of how it goes. Because let's be real, no one makes real money in snowboarding anymore.
Yeah, man. I was there for the French fries and cereal days.
You know what it was like when we were living on mac and cheese, cereal, and potatoes. We would buy a 10-pound bag of potatoes every week, and it was French fries, baked potato.
Baked potato.
Baked potatoes. What's for dinner? Baked potatoes.
Oh god.
Like the ongoing jokes with the voices pop in your room. Hey man, you hungry?
Yeah.
Baked potato.
It was like French fries? Yeah, all right, bet. French fries. I got some form of potato.
Oh,
in an oven.
Every night. Baked potatoes, and it was you know, to do it, but like I think all of those experiences kind of led to where we are now in our lives, what we're doing. And it's cool to see, because like I remember when you were filming for Sinigang, you'd be like, hey, I need you would talk to me about shots, and you'd be like, from a snowboarder's perspective, and I was like, oh, you should be standing like over here and do this, like, you know, and you were like, oh, okay. Because I remember having to tell you, no guy in the sky.
Right. And there were shots where I was just like, hey, like when I sent you the first version, you were like, you saw me. I was like, get your fucking weak ass method out of this shot. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Right. And I mean, you know, it was trying to make that the way you edited it tighter and stuff like that. And I think, like, you know, you're telling the story because you guys did not have the best conditions in the Northwest when you filmed, which is typical of the Northwest. Like, it's not like Colorado where you're like, you don't like the weather, you go inside for 20 minutes. It might be better. You get bluebird, you get over 300 days of bluebird here. You know, the Northwest, you're lucky if you get 100 in a year, you know? And so but what would you say the biggest challenge was for you guys when you were actually filming that, besides the weather?
Besides weather, oh, it was the how to tell the story, how to put together, the snowboarding and outdoors with like the concept of how food not only brings us together but other people together and still helps us remind us where we came from. That was the hardest part. Um like writing that part out, the scripting, because the beta version, our idea was like, yo, we're gonna do this dope ass, 30 for 30 style interview. We're gonna get the studio. We did the whole like interview process. And then when I looked at the footage, like we were so corny, yo. We did not, it was just bad. We sounded like a like a dare commercial, like don't do drugs. And we're just like, we can't do this. And like we didn't have a lot of time left. We couldn't get another studio going, or we couldn't, or the funds to rent the studio out. So we said, "Yo, like we sat down, like how are we gonna do this?" And as we're sitting down, we're like, "Holy shit! This is what we're gonna do. Everybody, have a drink, take a shot. I'm gonna record a round table of y'all talking, and then I'm gonna take whatever we get from what we talked about. We're gonna give topics, and we're just gonna talk." Like just a casual conversation. None of this like script. It was like everything was off the cuff after that, and that's actually worked better for us rather than scripting out this whole like snowboarding changed my life. I love snowboarding kind of like vibe. And yeah, but other than that, that was the most difficult part, writing it out and
It's
like
kind of
putting
funny,
things
like
together.
it's kind of funny the way you say that. It's kind of like snowboarding. You fail at doing the trick, but you want to fail forward. So you failed forward to find the next thing, and then you bring up the food thing. And like one of the big uniting things with us is how poor we were and how food,
Yeah,
like to this day, like whenever we get together, it's like let's go get food.
yeah.
Like
Or when we were living together, had an argument. You hungry?
yeah,
And then argument over.
yeah. No, and then that was the thing. It was like, we were pooling our resources and be like, okay, well, we got X number of dollars. What kind of food can we make that will fill us for a week straight? Because we had X
Yeah,
number of, because like I don't think people realize how poor we were. I was
yeah.
living off granola bars at the base area of Breckenridge. I was like, oh, Nature Valley sponsored today. Grab 20 granola bars and shove them in my pocket and just
Yeah.
eat those every day,
And then, when after that, like when you moved, like when I came to visit you, like my whole thing is like I love at least attempting trying to spread like my culture. So like those times when I like, we were at the house cooking lumpia, or like when I cooked adobo for y'all. It's like
Yeah.
that I want to show you like we're not it's not just like chopsticks and noodles, you know what I mean? It's like I want to show everyone, like whether it's you, whether it's whoever, like there's a difference, there's a cultural difference, and I felt like food is the way to not only teach others but like to bring us together.
Well, and that's what it did. Like we would get the whole crew together and everyone we'd be cooking at my place,
Yeah,
and whether we're grilling, whether you were rolling lumpia, whatever it was, there's definitely potatoes involved. So many goddamn potatoes.
I,
I don't think people understand how many potatoes were involved with this. Like
uh,
our friendship is literally based around potatoes
a
and
sack of potatoes.
sack of potatoes all the time. And and that was it. But the food thing, and it makes sense because like what do you do after you go snowboarding? Like you have a long day. You go get food, right? So
Yeah,
for me, like being out here riding copper, doing stuff like that, what do we do after we go smash pow? We'd go get food, right? We go make food, we go get food, we go do something, and we sit around and we talk about the day, whether you fell headfirst into a tree well, or I sprayed someone, or we had a close call, or one of us hit a tree, which was usually me, and you know, and then that's kind of just how we did things. And I think your guys' short video there, you're at it, whatever you want to call it, your film, it it shows that, it showcases that while telling that narrative story of what you guys are doing. So I think anyone watching this interview should definitely go down and check it out.
yeah, definitely check it out. It's
Yeah.
very. I feel like the story is strong. The writing is there. Like that was the other thing. It was like, we had one really good, like on our set, we had one really good rider. Like, how do we make this different from all the other snowboard videos? And on my end, which was a little bit struggle back and forth with the people in Seattle, but it was all good. I was trying to just make. I wasn't trying to make a snowboard film. I was trying to make a film that just happened to have snowboarding in it.
Right. Like snowboarding is the theme that runs through it, but the story is the people and the interaction and how they got to get there to snowboard. Okay, so we lived together for a season. You've known me for 15-ish years, maybe longer. I don't even know at this point. What would you tell the viewership, a story about me or something like that, that maybe I haven't told them in one of my live streams?
I still don't understand how you didn't get a ticket for not having a driver's license when we were driving through Oregon.
I had a driver's license. Okay, first off, it was a very convoluted driver's license. So it was issued from the state of Washington with no photo and no signature. But I had a New York State Sheriff's identification card with a photo on it while we were driving a car that was registered in Colorado but insured in California. Okay? It was all legal. It was just very convoluted. And yes, I understand doing 85 in whatever the speed limit was in that back. Like, we were in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. I mean, the nearest town was 80 miles.
There was so much legal jargon that you said to the guy that he was just like, I don't want to do this paperwork.
That's exactly what he said.
Let us go.
He was like, this is more paperwork than it's worth because you will we won't even know where to send the ticket and we won't know how to collect it. You'll just disappear. And I was like, so he's like, slow down.
Yeah. And I'm just like looking at everyone in the car like, did this just happen? Like, my man just gave him a pictureless ID. We got away and we're getting away scot-free.
Dude, and the funny thing was, it was you, me, Marcus, Tyler Barrett, and Jordan Zdanek.
Yep.
And like everyone in the car is like, did you just get away with that? And I was like, oh yeah. And they were like, how did you know you're going to get away with it? I was like, I owned that. I owned it. Like, I gave him that stack of paperwork and I remember looking at him and said, good luck. And he was just like,
the confidence.
Like, so this car is registered in Colorado. And I was like, yes. But to a company in California. And I was like, yes. But it's insured in California. Correct. But your driver's license is from Washington, but your photo ID is from New York State, but you live in Colorado. Yes, sir, that is all correct. And he's like, how? And I was like, well, according to the federal government, I didn't exist for 3 years. And he's like, what? And I was like, they had no record that I existed as a human in their system in anywhere. So I had to do all these weird loopholes to get through everything so I could finally get a passport so I could get a Colorado ID.
I forgot you brought up the whole federal thing. I was like, this isn't going to work. It's like, oh shit, it works.
That guy looked so confused after we rode away. And like, the funny thing was, because Mitsubishi had given us a car. They'd given us an Outlander GT AWC, which I don't even think they make. They make the Outlander, but they don't make that specific model. And it was like the super off-road one. And Mitsubishi had given it to us. And like just said, like when they gave it to me, I like gave them the ID with no photo on it. And the guy's like, yeah, this is good. And I was like, okay. And it was such a thing. But I remember Marcus looking at me in the front seat going, you are so full of shit. And I looked at him and I go, what do you mean? He goes, I would have been cuffed and in the back of the car getting beaten if that was me. And you're just like, blah, 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 blah. And the guy's just like, I don't even want to deal with.
So much blah, blah, blah. So much blah, blah, blah.
And like,
the blah, blah, blah was crazy.
I remember like Tyler's just sitting there like a deer in headlights. Jordan's jaw is on the ground just like, how? You know, and like we had the illegal roof rack on there that was strapped on with the bungee cords. We had like the whole car smelled like ass because we'd been living in it for like a week up at Mount Hood. It's full of like we got pulled over pulling out of Mount Hood. Like we had left. That was Memorial Day. It was Memorial Day Monday because it was the last day the spring pass was valid, and we were driving out. Because I remember when we stopped to get gas, because Oregon, you're not supposed to pump your own gas. I just got out and pumped, and I was like, whatever, I've been doing this forever. And no one said anything to me. And then, you know, about 300 miles down the road, we ran out of gas.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
and then
And
treated
then
ourselves.
we drove through the night, and we may have ran over a snapping turtle. I don't remember.
No, we got AAA, and then we treated ourselves to Dairy Queen.
Dude, the sketchiest Dairy Queen in the sketchiest town. Like, everyone was on meth in that town.
It's like, we should leave. It's like, why? Because we're about 20 minutes away from a place that was called White Settlement Road.
Oh yeah, no,
we gotta go. We gotta go now.
Jordan had his mohawk, and yeah, that was a real interesting experience. I still can't believe that they gave us a car, and we abused the living shit out of that thing.
They gave you a car, and then we just tagged along, and then told a snowboard company that doesn't exist anymore, we'll shoot a film for you in Oregon.
And it was horrible the whole time, and we couldn't do anything. And we stayed at Wendell's.
Yes.
And the adult house with the skankiest, skunkiest hot tub on earth that you guys like. The water was black. The water was black.
I'll say this though. I think me and Marcus invented manmosas, that the beer moses that day. They call them beer moses now.
Before you guys, he just wants to take credit for it.
Oh, that son of a bitch! I thought it was new.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys did some questionable things up there. It was an interesting time, but you know,
it's a big shoulder shrug.
I think we broke every rule in the agreement that I had with that company to take that car in the first 20 minutes. Like,
oh yeah.
Oh, and we blew the windshield apart with the side of the windshield, like the molding ripped off and shit. Like,
and we literally took one picture with that car, like 2 pictures. Maybe.
With a phone. We didn't even use the camera. That was even better. And then I remember when I dropped it off to the guy at the gondola, and I was like, he like walked around, and he's like, this thing looks like it got some use. And I was like, yeah, that's an understatement. And I was like, hey. So I went through and I like showed him all the damage we did. And he goes, and I was like, are we? And he goes, oh, you're cool. Mitsubishi's going to pay for it. I was like, oh, okay.
Nice. So,
that car saw some shit that week we had it. We had it for 10 days.
Memories.
Chateau de Mitsubishi. Because we slept in it the first night. Is there anything you'd like to say to the audience before we wind down this interview, though?
Nothing crazy. Just a big shout out to the Sinigang crew for bringing me on. You know, obviously they're from the Pacific Northwest. I'm here in New York. I was honored to be asked to shoot the film and work with them together. Another big shout out, obviously, to SoySauceNation and Snowboy Productions. Obviously, you, my homie, my brother, and last but not least, hi, mom and dad.
Nice, dude. Well, anyways, guys, if you could do us all a favor, check out his short film. We got a link down in the description. Give it a vote. That'd be really cool. We need to get these guys back up there so that Carlo can get out and film more snowboarding, because we need out there. And that's about everything that we got on this end. And I'll see you guys in another video.